Hello, and welcome back to the Stephen Weir podcast show. I'm your host, Stephen Weir, a former professional footballer and now a FIFA licensed agent, and someone who walked the journey from the pitch to the business side of the game. In today's episode, a powerful episode because it is about something very important, and it's my story. Today, I will dive into why I talk about the mindset, the discipline, gratitude, and how to stay grounded. Sometimes we always think about situation, and I know very well that everyone's situation is different. And episode, it will be about Stephen Weir and why I decided on doing the podcast. And I'm going to continue to educate young players, parents, coaches, and whosoever that love this beautiful game on why the mindset is very important. So, as a little kid growing up, I was born in Liberia, West Africa, where I think everyone would be familiar with George Weah, the only African player to win the Ballon d'Or from AC Milan, Paris Saint-Germain, AS Monaco. He went on to play for Manchester City and Marseille. I started my journey as a kid. I'm from a very large family of six, 3 boys, 3 girls. I'm the youngest boy. I got my little sister. So growing up as a kid, I didn't know anything about being a professional player. I had a talent of becoming a footballer. It was my older sister who one day pointed out that I look very physical. My body is built and I look very strong. So she watched me playing on my school campus and I should play soccer. And I took that advice very seriously. Although I was a kid, 6 years old, playing on gravel pitch, no shoes. Sometimes she used plastic bags bundled to play soccer. So in my family, I was given away by my parents. I don't know the reason why, but I later found out in life. So I was adopted to someone who is also a family member. She's the younger sister of my mom. So basically my aunt. So I then moved with her to the capital city, which is Monrovia, because I was born in Tupmanburg City, where my mom and dad live with my brothers and sisters. So I later moved with my auntie. At that time, I was about the age of 6. And then we moved to the capital city of Monrovia, where you will see people play soccer. You start to listen to the radio, the commentary. And I've started to fall in love with the game. But those days back then, it was the same old story. Go to school, get a good grade, and get good job. That was it. So it was the script. It wasn't any different to now. Fast forward, I started to live with my aunt, and she was single back then. So everything was going good. She was in the medical field. She was a doctor at one of the top medical hospitals in Monrovia. So we started living together. I was her son then because she couldn't give birth to a child. So I was given to her as her son. So we started living together. Things was okay. I started going to school, but I always wanted to play soccer after school. So that's what I've always done. After school, I would do what I got to do in the house, my housework, and what have you. So then the story changed. A couple of years later, my auntie found a man and she got married. But this man had 2 kids already, his son and daughter, and then had his niece living with him. So then he was in the Coast Guard, which is the Navy in Liberia. We then moved to the military base where he lived. So we started living together as a family, but everyone was different from me. I was just this stubborn little kid who just loved to play soccer. So I would go to school. Sometimes I would skip school during recess period and I would come home. And when I get home, I had my uncle who lived with us at that time. He was also a football player, so I used to admire him a lot. But he was also one of those who had that mindset of go to school, get good grades. And when I skipped school, he would go to the school behind me And then he will find out that they are all still in school. And then when he come home, he would just give me the whip. Sometimes I would pass out. I was about 7 growing up. But looking at my life back then and looking at my life now, I'm very grateful, I think, because all of these things I went through was the preparation for life. It was a preparation for what's ahead of me in my journey. But I didn't see it that way. In this DNA, they would say abuse, but back then in Africa, discipline. And we still believe in that. We discipline our children so that they can respect their elders, they can know how to stay humble. And in growing up like that, we grow up to become stronger. We become stronger where we look at our parents, we respect them, we love them, no matter how things fall apart. We never take sides on who's going to take the kid or whatsoever. But it was all about those days in the 90s, in the 80s, in the 70s. It was all traditional, especially coming from Africa. So I would get whipped all the time, miss school, when I skipped school. And then my auntie would say nothing. My auntie husband would say nothing, I think because they were all on the same page of going to school, get a good grades. But I was on the page of going to school. Don't get me wrong, education is good. You have to know the basic because you have to know how to read, write, know your math, because all these things are going to help you in the future. But as we can see into this world, education doesn't guarantee success. There are millionaires, billionaires out there who will drop out. And we can see that they become billionaires, not from going to school, but from learning a skill that will help them to become who they want to be in the future. So I didn't know anything about that myself, but I thought football will definitely change my life one day because I started to see how people were playing and they were loved by the public. When they walked in the street of Monrovia, you get people following them and cheering them. There was that respect for football in Africa, especially in Liberia where I was born. So then I chose to become a footballer, professional footballer. I didn't know whether you would get paid for that, but I knew people were getting per diem. So we call that allowance. So I continued my mindset of becoming a professional footballer. So that's why I talk about mindset. Once you put your mind to something to do it, there will be obstacles. There will be people trying to stop you from doing that. And whenever people say you can't do it, that's when you start to grow and understand that this is what I want. This is who I want to be. Because in this life, anything you do, good or bad, you're going to pay the price. There is a price to be paid. You want to be successful, you have to work harder, you have to give away certain things, and you have to be focused and consistent in your effort. That's the way you're going to get the best out of life. Trust me, once you are breathing, you still haven't completed your mission on this earth. So you will have to keep pushing, you will be disciplined, and you will keep going. As a kid, I built that mindset already in me that I want to become a professional player. And trust me, when I got to the 6th grade, my parents or my foster parents never paid school fees, but they never asked me how. I was all on scholarship because of my talent. I had a talent, but then I had to put in the work so that this talent can come up and become something. So I kept going. And my life is just a story where sometimes I ask myself, are you going to write a book? On LinkedIn, I have had 2 authors, people who contacted me, look at my website and thought they wanted to write a book and they thought there's a story behind my website. And I said, no, I wasn't ready. I turned down the offer twice. So I thought, okay, I would get into podcasting, try to express myself, educate the young ones that are out there, the parents, the coaches, or those who love the game, or life in general. How you need to be consistent, you need to build your mindset and focus on what you want to do. And once you want to do it, you have to keep going. It's going to be difficult, it's going to be tough. So back to my story, I was living with my auntie and the husband and his two kids. So after school, I would go on the soccer field where my friends would be training on the military base. And then I would see police, I would see Navy officers, they would come to the pitch and they would just hold my hand. Those guys really admire me because I was one of the talented kids among those guys. Very young, but very strong. And then they would, when they get to me, they would say, look, your dad want us to put you behind bars. So I would get put into this confinement where I would be until after 6 o'clock when the training is done. Then they will release me. That was only for me to not play soccer. But what they didn't know was they were building me up for what's ahead of me in life. As that went on, it went on for, I think, a couple of years. Every time I go to soccer, they will come and pull me off the pitch and they will put me in prison. So on the military base, there is always this little prison. When the officer misbehave or when they drink on the job, they put them there for a couple of hours before they can get them out and whatever punishment. So I would be put into this place and I would sit there and 6 o'clock, they will come and release me. Day in, day out, every day after school, I would go to the soccer field and this would go on. But kept moving. I wanted to become a soccer player. I used to do all my homework, everything that I thought I would do at home. Dishes, selling IC Kool-Aid on the street. I did everything. But my idea of becoming a professional player was never in question. Never. In my head, that's what I wanted to do. So my life is a blessing. And I'm grateful for where I am today because I would have been there long time ago before even my parents get to know about it. So one day I was at home and then my auntie sent me to get something in the closet where they keep the clothes. I went to look for this thing and then I saw a rifle, an M16 rifle from the military, but this gun was in the closet. It was loaded and it wasn't on any safety. So when I went into the closet, I saw the gun and started playing with the gun. And then I put my eye straight into where the bullets would come out. So dark, trying to see what's in there. But then as I pulled my head out, I pressed the trigger and the gun went straight off in the closet. So if my head has stuck there when I pushed that trigger, I would have blown my brains out. That was life lesson number one. So when I sit down now, I think about my past. I say, yes, I'm not done. I still need to get out there. And I got something to accomplish and I'm going to do it. So fast forward, one night, my aunt's husband called me while he was having dinner. He said, look, I'm tired every time putting you in prison and stuff. What is it that you really want to do? I want you to go to school. See, you can go to school, get a job. I can help you get a job when you graduate. I told him straight away, there was nothing else I had to say. I told him that I want to become a professional soccer player. I was about 10 years then. He said, okay, that's what you want to do? I said, yes. And trust me, from that day, he never, ever questioned what I wanted to do. Those guys never came to the pitch to arrest me anymore. I was free to play soccer. But then he said under one condition, if anything happens to you, you will be responsible. I said, okay. So I continued playing my soccer. And then one day I went to the training ground and I twisted my ankle. And then when I went home, I was walking on crutches. When he came from work, he and my auntie told me to get out of the house because they didn't want anybody in the house with 4 legs. So I left the house. They kicked me out. I was about 10 years old. So then I went and stayed right opposite the house because there was a friend of mine who lived opposite. And then I started living with the family in there. So when I come up in the morning for those people to come and look at my ankle, those doctors, I will see my auntie going to work, her husband going to work, and nobody even look at my face or my eyes to say hello. So fast forward, I got better, and then I moved back in the house. But then when I moved back in the house, I said, okay, I don't think I want to live here anymore. And in all these years, my mom never visited me to see how I was doing. My dad never visited me to see how I was doing with those people. My brothers and sisters, nobody ever visited me. My life was like my own journey, and I was on it. I was on it alone from day one since I became a kid at the age of 6. My life started. So then I said, okay, I'll move in with a friend. I told my auntie that I never wanted to live with them anymore. So I'm with my friend, and we started living together, and my friend and myself, we were attending the same school, and we became best friends. And today, he got his family, and he lives in Indonesia. When I went professional, he was the first person I sent for from Liberia when I was in Indonesia. I bought his ticket, I arranged his visa, and then he came to Indonesia and had his life of his own. So fast forward in 1990, the summer war came to Liberia, all schools were closed. Then I decided to go to Grand Cape County, where my mom was at that time. I only used to go and pay visit to my dad once in a while. I would stay the night and whatsoever I had to do there, just stay with him. He was getting old at that time. He had high blood pressure. And when the war came, he passed away during the war due to starvation. So then I went to my mom when school closed. I went to my mom in Grand Cape County. A few weeks later, the 4th of the National Patriotic Front, remember, they captured Grand Cape County. And then they put everyone on the beach naked, okay? Your box will be on you. And they say, if you don't show us the government officials in the group here, we will just throw the grenade and everybody will die. And people started pointing government officials, and those guys were beaten. One of them had their head chopped off and put on the front of a rebel car as a license plate. Then that was the first time I had a wake-up call that this isn't the place I want to be. Imagine being a kid, watch someone's head being chopped off. And then I said, no, I can't stay here. So we were on the beach from 5 o'clock in the morning when they took over the city. 6 o'clock, we got released and then went to our various home. And then I told my mom, I don't want to stay here. She said, where you want to go? I was 10, 11. She said, where you want to go? I said, I want to leave the country. She said, where you going to go? Who you know where you going? I said, I don't know. I just want to go and play professional football. I want to become a footballer. But she didn't believe me, actually, that this, my son, is telling me something that even his older brothers and sisters are not even saying. Who's this? Who's this boy? What's in him? Is he a human or is he possessed by something? Yes, I told her, I said I wanted to go. So in Grand Cape County, the neighboring country there is Sierra Leone, right? So you get the Mano River. And because my mom and my dad are already separated. So my mom's boyfriend, he was a fisherman. He had this big canoe and boat. So I told her, look, talk to him, let him cross me to the Mano River. And at that time, my older sister was dating one guy called Stewart, a Liberian champion boxer. His dad was in America and trying to get him through Sierra Leone and then fix his papers for him to go to America. So we both got on the boat in the morning and then we crossed. I think the village we crossed to was Sileman. So when we got to that village, we found our way to the capital city, which is Freetown, capital city of Sierra Leone. So when we got there, he was going to the United Nations High Commission for Refugees so they can get his paper fixed. He said, what are you going to do? I said, look, I just want to find the nearest football stadium because we were in Freetown. So the Shaka Stevens Stadium was just there, which was the #1 stadium in Sierra Leone. So then I went to the stadium. He went his way and we never saw each other again. Years later, we became friends on Facebook and I saw he's in America. So my mindset, my discipline, and the courage to take on life journey by myself. It was built in me. What I needed was that intelligence to stay out of trouble. I'm a person who never gets into police office, you been arrested. In my 40s now, I've never been to a police station. I've never been to any kind of a court until I will get to that story, how I got into court and what happened. So one morning, I woke up and I never had soccer boot. So I started training in the morning on my own on the stadium. I slept with the security guards because when I got there, they were in a shock. Why can't you go to the United Nations office so they can take you to a refugee camp or keep you somewhere? I said, no, I want to stay on the stadium. I want to become a soccer player. I'm a soccer player. They said, okay. So I stayed with them that night. In the morning, I started training on my own. And then this guy came into the stadium. Kemuka Kalon is the older brother of Musa Kalon, who played for Inter Milan. So when Kemuka, I didn't know him, but then he introduced himself. We started kicking the ball, and then he said, young boy, you got a good skill. You're very good, and you're so young. He said, okay, come, I will take you somewhere. I said, where? He said, I will take you to one of the big clubs in Sierra Leone, which was Eastern Lion. But before then, Eastern Lion had been to Liberia for a tournament, so I know a little bit about Eastern Lion. They had a coach by the name of Ishmael Dafan, one of Sierra Leone's greatest players. So he took me to this training ground. You see, all the Sierra Leone national stars were on that team, Eastern Lion. They had John Disa, they had Wichi Sese, they had Brahma Kamara. All these guys were there. So then I went to train. They put me in there. I destroyed them. And then the coach called me after the training and said, you're a little kid, but you're so good. So we can't play you now because I was about 12 now. He said, we can't play you now because you're still young, but we're going to accommodate you. And because of the situation in your country, Liberia, we're going to accommodate you and we'll give you allowance and you keep training. And then when you're 16, 17, we'll feed you on our team. So they took me to an apartment. They gave me a 2-bedroom apartment studio. I was there, and then they started to give me allowance to move for training. And then in 1991, they had a first ceasefire. I told them, look, I want to go back home to see my family. So when I went back to Sierra Leone, I went on a ship. They put me on a ship from Apapa, somewhere from the Freeport. I went to Liberia on my own. Can you imagine? I'm 12, 13 years. I'm still pushing life, okay? The mindset, the passion of becoming a professional player was there. So there was no doubt that one day I was going to become a professional player because I had a talent. It had just been noticed by people outside of Liberia in a footballing country as well in Africa. So I went back to Liberia. I was there, and then I started to play for Bame, one of the top tier teams in our country at that time. I was staying at my dad's house. My dad had passed away already. My mom was still in where I left. So I haven't seen my mom for 2 years now going by. So then my older brother came home one time from fetching food because that was all people were doing in Liberia at that time. It was all about finding food to eat. There was nothing about going to whatsoever professional stuff. Schools were open. So I went back to school in that process. Then my brother came home from work and he told me, he just got in some rumors that there is a second war coming. Because at that time, the first ceasefire, the ECOWAS Community of West African States, the ECO had their team there, military team, so they were the peacekeepers. The ceasefire was established. But then my brother told me there's another war coming called Autopot. He heard it, rumors. So I said, okay. So he said, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to find my way to get out of the country. I cannot do with war. I've seen people killed in front of me. I don't think I want to live with this. I don't want to live in this environment. So then I went to the Freeport of Monrovia. When I got to the Freeport, there was this little boat, fishing boat going to Nigeria called the Costa Trailer. I didn't know much at that time, but they were paying $100 to get on the boat to go to Nigeria, or the refugees who wanted to leave Liberia, or the Liberians who wanted to leave Nigeria to seek asylum. So I never had money. So the boat supposed to leave about 6 o'clock in the afternoon. I sat there, I sneaked my way onto that boat. I went to the bottom of that boat. And that boat stayed on that water for 7 days and a night. 7 days, 7 nights. I was at the bottom of that boat. Nobody knew I was there because I never had money to get on that boat. No food, no water at the bottom. I slept, I prayed, I slept, I prayed. That was all I did. On the 7th day, that boat get to Nigeria. Everybody got down. I sneaked my way out of there. Who did I know in Nigeria? Nobody. I was just going. Fortunately for me, when I got to the free port, that's why whenever you want to travel, don't ever say that, who do I know or who do you know there? Just go. There are humans there. You don't have to know anybody there. It's a country. There are other people there. If you are nice and kind and honest person, God will always make a way for you in life. Your blessing will keep pushing and keep going, and they will keep coming to you. Luckily for me, someone shouted my name from the back, Go King, because that's how they call me in Liberia. Because my only thing I bring to my football is scoring goals. And when I heard the name Go King, I knew that I know this person personally because not everybody know that name. And when I turned around, it was one of my old friends, Prince. He took me, we went to his house, big house, had money. He said, you can stay here anytime you want. I said, no. Take me to the refugee camp. He said, okay, it's a bit far and it's late because we landed in Nigeria about 7 o'clock in the night. So he took me to the house. I stayed at his house. And then I told him, take me to the refugee camp. And then he took me to the camp. I went there, I met other players that came on that ship. But I didn't see any of them because I couldn't go up. I couldn't go anywhere because I didn't to get on the ship. So then we have some other top Liberian players playing in Nigeria already. The likes of Barbecue, Josh Shellington, George Johnson, all these guys were playing. So what they normally do is that when the group of refugees arrive, they will bring their club for a test match, and then they will select good players from there to go and join their team. So it's like a kind of showcase. Captain, Sunday, here's the game. All the top players from Liberia were there. This little boy was there. And the coach selected me to play just from training. I destroyed those guys, those Nigerian players. I brought them to their knees, like left and right. I was chopping them. And then after the game, the president of the club told the captain, call that boy. They used to call me small boy. They called me, they said, you have to come to Lagos tomorrow to train with the team. My talent, that's my talent was taking me. I had a talent and it could be seen. You can't hide from the talent I had. But then behind that talent, I had courage. I had discipline. I had hard work and persistence. So all of those things, they're them. So you have to build this thing. You have to grow up to be someone who can challenge anything you want to do. You just have to put your mind to it. Look, it will be difficult, okay? Trust me, it's not going to be easy. I'm saying it here, it sounds like a story, but it was true life. It happened. Like these things actually happen. So when I went to train with the team in Lagos, first training section, I killed them. And they said, no, you have to stay. So I said, okay. But then I think that's why I said football is politics, okay? Football has no feeling. If anything happened, you will just be put aside. So what happened was, one of our senior players from our country was on the refugee camp at that time, and he played in that game, but they spotted me. So then I think those other guys, what I heard after that, they did some kind of a politics behind me, and they told the club president that, oh, the boy stay young, let him go to the camp and grow. We get another senior player over there, we'll bring him in. And the chief said, okay, gave me some money and says, small boy, go to the camp and next year we'll come for you. I said, okay. I left. I went back to the camp, but I was never on the camp. I was always training. climbing those hills. I would go up the hill every morning. I would train in the afternoon. I would train with the refugee team and everything. So one day, I had a little bit of money with me. Like I would see the United Nations would come, they would bring food on the refugee camp. Everybody is online. You get your number and you have to go and get your ration and all this stuff. I didn't want that for myself because looking at where I came from, getting on a ship, a young little kid doesn't know whether he will die because I can't swim. You should know that because in the Olympics, you have never heard an African swimmer won the gold medal. We don't swim back there, okay? We run, and that's where we get most of our strength. So we're good runners. I had some money with me, and something came to my mind and said, look, go to Cameroon because Cameroon had a border with Nigeria. So I had to go to Calabar. So I got on the bus and went all the way to Calabar. Okay, I had my refugee laissez-passer. So when I got to the border, it was about 5 in the afternoon. And then I presented my laissez-passer to the security checkpoint and they said my laissez-passer was fake because I'm from Lagos. I said, no, it's a refugee laissez-passer. They said, no, it's fake. You cannot enter Cameroon. So then I was sitting there and this guy came to me. He looked at me and said, you want to get into Cameroon? I said, yes. But they said my laissez-passer is fake. So he said, okay, follow me. I know someone. So what we do here at the border, people who doesn't go through the checkpoint, we get them on a boat 5 o'clock in the morning, and then we cross them into Cameroon. I said, okay, how much? He called the price, and then I gave him the money. And then he took me somewhere where everybody was resting and waiting for 5 o'clock in the morning to cross and get into Cameroon to bypass the check. Yeah, I got on that boat again. Just as we were approaching the shore to land, we saw the police patrol boat coming with their lights on. Everyone just jumped out of the boat. Luckily, we were close to the shore and we started running. You get your little bag, running, and then I just entered the bushes and then went to the nearest village. And in this village, afternoon time training came. I saw some guys training. I just went and joined them. Again, my talent, it came up. Someone spotted my talent. And the guy, after the training, he said, where are you from? I said, I'm from Liberia, but I was in Nigeria. I want to go to Yaoundé, the capital city. He said, okay, I'm a driver. I go to Yaoundé every day. So I will go in the morning and then come back in the afternoon. So I can take you to Yaoundé, but your papers are not right. Come to my house, stay the night, and then I will see how best we can get you to Yaoundé. So I said, okay. Complete stranger. What I had was my talent, persistent, my discipline, and I was always grounded. I never one day thought that I'm bigger than anybody. I was humble, and up to now, I am still humble. We went to Yaoundé, or we got on the way to go to Yaoundé in the morning. So he told me, as I approached the checkpoint, you would get down from the car and walk one of the villages and just cross and keep walking. I would come and pick you up along the way. And that's exactly what I did. As we approached the checkpoint, because he knew the road, I would get down like one of the villagers, no bag, just walking with my flip-flop tongue, and then I would cross the checkpoint. We did that until we get to Yaoundé. When I got to Yaoundé, I told him to take me to the Liberian embassy. And the ambassador at that time was the late Carton Carpe. He was the owner of my club in Liberia, Bame. So when I went there, I introduced myself to him and everything. He said, okay, there's no room here, but I will take you to the consulate down there. We get some empty room with the mattress on the floor. You can sleep there. So they took me there. I slept there. In the morning, I woke up and I jogged because the embassy was in Bastos, if anyone knows about Cameroon. The embassy is in Bastos. I went all the way to Ominisport. I jogged from Bastos, which would take me about an hour and a half of run. So I jogged there, went up the stadium, did the stairs, did all my exercises. And then when I look on the outside page, there was a gap training there. So then I went there, started training with those guys. They were doing shooting drills. From there, they started to play a little 6-a-side. What happened? I killed them. I chopped them left and right. Talent saying the discipline, the hard work was there. The talent was there. So the talent is not enough. It's only to get you in the room. But you need that discipline, the hard work, and the persistence and that mindset to stay in the room. So when I got in that room, I've never gone out. I never did. So after training, the coach spoke with me and said, look, I want you to play for this team. I said, which level? He said, oh, it's Division 3. I said, no, that's below my level because I just played top level in Liberia and I know my ability. I believe in myself. So he said, okay, look, no, all right. We got this game. It's a final in 2 weeks. If we win, we're going to go to the Division 2. And then if you want to stay, you can stay with us. If you don't, that's fine. I said, okay. I took the offer because people love football. Cameroon is a footballing nation. It's a footballing nation in Africa. Samuel Eto'o, Joseph Antoine Bell, Roger Miller. That's where they all came from. And you might know this worst keeper ever seen from Cameroon, Onana of Manchester United. That's the worst. It's an embarrassment to Cameroon football. So I'll stay to my story. So during this training, this last 2 weeks, I was training with this team. There were people watching me closely. I didn't know. So one training, one of the guy there came to me, and now he's the top official in the Cameroon Football Association, the FIGAFO. He said, look, I'm a member of Kanondi Yaoundé. I've seen you play. The late Teofilo Abega is the Director General of Kanondi Yaoundé. I will go and tell him about you. Sunday final, you have to prove yourself, and then you and Abega can talk and become friends. I said, okay. So Sunday came, game day, the place is the outside stadium, close to the road. It's packed. So as we walked to the pitch, this guy called me and said, come and introduce me to Teofilo Abega. Imagine that. I was what? Going to 14, 15 years now. I was growing up now. I had the knowledge and everything, but I wasn't that smart to any other thing when we talk about finance. So I wasn't that bright in that area because all I wanted to do was play football because it's a passion. It's a love. It wasn't about the money those days when people were playing. Not now where people signing 125 million pounds and euros and those things were not around. It was the passion, the love for the game. Being seen was something far more important than the money. Being recognized, the recognition we had those days were more powerful than the money. So you will be happy to get on that field, play your best, and walk on the street with your heads up, and you will see people will give you a free ride to where you're going. That's what it was all about. Not about the money. It wasn't that crazy about the money. So he introduced me to Teofilo Souley. The guy name was Souley. He said, Souley said, you're a very good player. I'm here to watch you play. And he said, you call yourself Goal King. And what are you going to do today? I said, I'm going to score 2 goals today. He said, you sure? I said, yes, I will score 2. The game started first 25 minutes. We had a penalty. And the coach told me to go and take the penalty kick. I said, no, I don't want to take the penalty. I will score 2 goals. Second half, those guys equalized 1-1. The last 30 minutes, I scored 2 goals. I won the player of the match. I got one little football called in Cameroon. It's a top drink. And then Abega called me and said, come to my office tomorrow. Sheila will bring you and you will play for Kanondi Yaoundé. No, that didn't happen. There was someone else on the field watching me. And that person was about to take me to Saudi Arabia, where I will sign my first professional contract at the age of 18. If this episode resonates with you, share and comment. I would love to hear from people who enjoy these stories and who enjoy my show. Please follow and subscribe. Stay tuned for part 2 as I continue my journey and my story, how I came from Liberia during the Civil War and became a professional player, signing my first professional contract at the age of 18 years in Saudi Arabia for Uhud, Medina. Stay tuned for part 2. Follow and subscribe if you love my content. Thank you for now, and I will see you on the next episode. Bye.